All right, so move on to the second segment. I will be sharing my thoughts on Nathaniel Hackett being fired from the Denver Broncos. So yesterday, the news broke out Monday afternoon that the Denver Broncos had officially fired Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach of the Denver Broncos. He now joins the short list of NFL coaches to not finish their first NFL regular season as an NFL head coach. Last year, the latest guy that did not complete his first season as an NFL head coach was, of course, Urban Meyer. Now, this year, we have a 2.0 version of Urban Meyer, and now Nathaniel Hackett joins that short NFL list that nobody wants to be a part of. He was unsuccessful of finishing his first NFL season as a head coach, was fired yesterday. Now, my question is, in this decision by the Denver Broncos, why did this take so long to figure out? I had my questions about Nathaniel Hackett ever since that Monday night game, the first week of the NFL season, against the Seattle Seahawks. When I sat up here on this podcast and talked about his clock management skills were worse than Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy might have met his match. It was Nathaniel Hackett's first NFL game. You can't do that, and that leaves a sour impression on not just me, NFL analysts out there, NFL fans watching, but Broncos country. That leaves a sour taste in their mouth. When there's 50 seconds to go, hostile game to start the season. Russell Wilson is coming back home to play the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. That game is personal to him, and his teammates wanted to win that game. We watched that game, and the clock went from 50 all the way to 20-something seconds when they had a timeout remaining or two. And Nathaniel Hackett decided to let 35 seconds blow off that play clock, off the game clock, I should say, and then burn a timeout. And then they decided to kick a 60-yard field goal, which was missed, and you lose the game in that fashion. That's unbelievable. That's uncharacteristic as an NFL head coach. And ever since that happened, I had my questions about Nathaniel Hackett. So, to me, when the green light should have went off in the Denver Broncos organization, the front office should have came to a realization. They should have took a play out of the Carolina Panthers playbook when Matt Rule was fired in the beginning of the NFL season. When they seen an NFL head coach get fired that early in the NFL season, that's when the clock should have went off about how long Nathaniel Hackett has to prove that he can be the guy, the franchise leader moving forward. And they didn't do that. They waited until the end of the NFL season to fire this guy with 2 games remaining. It shouldn't have took this long, and Nathaniel Hackett was not the guy for the job. And he failed an excellent opportunity with the Denver Broncos, because I said on this podcast 11 months ago and said that this is a perfect coaching opportunity for whoever takes the job that last NFL offseason, right when when new coaches were being hired during the playoffs, I should say. I said this was a great opportunity for any NFL head coach to go there. Last year, they had the pieces. They were a competitive team. They were below 500 and missed the playoffs again last year. But they were a competitive football team without a franchise quarterback. They were a competitive team with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. Drew Lock got some action in there as well last year. They had the skilled positions there for a new coach to take them to new heights and new levels and compete in the AFC West. And I said they were one great head coach away and a franchise quarterback away from being a competitive team and potentially playing spoiler and winning the AFC West this upcoming season. Well, both of those things happened. They got a new head coach, and they finally found their franchise quarterback since Peyton Manning retired. And I'm gonna get to Russell Wilson in a second, but short story short on Nathaniel Hackett, he was a failed experiment in Denver. He lost the locker room. He was not a locker room leader. The team did not believe in what he was saying and what he was doing on a weekly basis. He hired a game clock manager to help with his game clock management in games. He did this in the third, fourth game. I believe whenever they played the San Francisco 49ers Sunday Night Football, I believe that was week 3, he already had a game clock manager by his side. That is a bad sign. That is a red flag for someone who is a smart guy when it comes to knowing the NFL, knowing football. He has the football IQ. He was the former offense coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, being in that offensive system where Aaron Rodgers had it. He wasn't the offensive play caller. That has always been the duties of Matt LaFleur, head coach, since he's been there. But he has the football IQ, and this should never happen. And then as an offensive coordinator, as an offensive coach, they never found an offensive identity the whole entire year. Yes, they've been through ups and downs. They lost running backs. They lost key skilled position players offensively. They lost Javonte Williams, young running back, due to a torn ACL. They cut Melvin Ingram. Well, but when both of those backs were in there, they never found a offensive rhythm, whether it's passing the ball, being a passing team, an air attacking a team, or a run football a run team. That puts the run first before the passing game. So they never found that, and he failed this talented roster that had potential. Like I just said, they had all the skill position players there. You look at the running backs before they went down, Javonte Williams and Melvin Ingram. At the running back position, he had a young wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy that has a lot of speed to his game, just needed the right time, the right people to let his game shine. Unfortunately, that didn't happen this year. Veteran wide receiver in Cortland Sutton, who is a great route runner himself. His team, and then you look at the defense as well, I should say. Randy Gregory on the defensive line. Their defensive backs are pretty loaded, highlighted by Patrick Surtain, who is one of the best cornerbacks in football. Nathaniel Hackett failed to reach new heights, new levels with this talented roster, and that is the reason why they sit at 4-11. And the Broncos have my vote of doing what if I believe they did the right thing or not. Definitely letting Nathaniel Hackett go and being fired was the best thing, but it's too little, too late in this NFL season. Now, the franchise is screwed moving forward. I just discussed getting the head coach that you always wanted, and now they found the franchise quarterback that was supposed to be the new franchise guy since Peyton Manning retired in 2016. We bring in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been absolutely terrible. He's destroying his career. Russell Wilson is one of the best in this generation. Russell Wilson was one of the most clutch quarterbacks to play the game of football. He was building a Hall of Fame resume. Comeback kid, had a lot of NFL comebacks in his NFL career. Former Super Bowl champion, has played in 2 Super Bowls, has a pretty good amount of playoff wins to his resume, and he looks like he's destroying his career in a Denver Broncos uniform. And looks like this could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history if Russell Wilson doesn't turn this thing around next season. The Denver Broncos gave up draft capital. They gave up a lot of draft capital. They gave up a lot of players to get Russell Wilson. This was supposed to pay off, and you made him an over $240 million quarterback. Now this looks like a nightmare scenario. Russell Wilson this season has absolutely been terrible. One of the worst starting quarterbacks to play in the NFL season this year. So Russell Wilson this season has a total QBR of 34.9. That's ranked 29th in the league. His touchdown interception ratio. He has 12 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. That's an unacceptable ratio from a former Super Bowl champion. He has a 60% completion percentage. That's ranked 32nd in the league amongst starting quarterbacks. And he's had a QBR of, and he's put on the stat line a QBR of 3.6 Christmas Day against the Los Angeles Rams. This is pitiful. And the Denver Broncos are stuck with Russell Wilson next season. Why I say they're stuck, you could go out there and trade him if you want to. You can go out there and release him if you want to. But it affects your overall roster moving forward for quite some time. If Russell Wilson is not a part of the Denver Broncos next season, without him on the roster, the Broncos will be looking at a $107 million cap hit without Russell Wilson on the roster. That's a big blow. That's a big hit to your roster. And that affects everything moving forward if Russell Wilson is not there. So next year, he's going to be there by default. And the icing on the cake is now that Nathaniel Hackett's gone, you've got one shot to really turn this thing around. Or if you bring in another bad coach, you might as well blow this thing up and try another rebuild again. Because it's going to be hard to bring in an NFL head coach, a new NFL head coach who's interested in this job. Russell Wilson's a mess. The entire roster is not a mess, but the roster guys are not happy with how things are going. They're under new ownership. Will the owner keep the general manager around? Will the owner want to keep Russell Wilson around? There's a lot of questions that an NFL head coach is going to be having when they do a search party for finding their new head coach in Denver, Colorado for the Denver Broncos. So it's not a pretty job to take on because once again, AFC West is going to be a loaded, competitive division this year. They're going to be way better. Hopefully they're way better, more competitive this year. The AFC West still deserves a lot of credibility because as we speak, they're still sending two out of 4 teams and that division to the AFC playoffs this year, with the Kansas City Chiefs making it in and the Los Angeles Chargers making it in last night officially. So a new NFL head coach is going to come into a tough, hostile division. They're going to have to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year. They're going to have to play Justin Herbert twice a year. And potentially, if the Las Vegas Raiders keep Derek Carr, you're going to have to play Derek Carr twice a year as well. So you're playing 3 good quarterbacks twice a year with a declining Russell Wilson that basically has one more year to prove he's the guy or not. And this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard for any NFL head coach. Yes, Sean Payton's going to be the odds-on favorite to go there, but is Sean Payton really going to have the emotion? Is he really going to be emotionally structured to take this job? Is he going to have the patience to take this job? I hardly see it. And the icing on the cake for me that's going to scare a lot of NFL coaches from taking this job is when you look at what potentially could be down the line to improve this roster. The Denver Broncos gave up so much to get Russell Wilson, they barely have any draft capital for a while. And luckily, they earned a first-round pick from trading Bradley Chubb by the NFL deadline to the Miami Dolphins. So you're looking at one NFL draft pick to really make things right with this roster. It's going to be tough. But that's my thoughts on Nathaniel Hackett being fired. And that is my thoughts on Russell Wilson dropping the ball on his new opportunity with the Denver Broncos this NFL season.